The next we're going to look at is factoring a trinomial. So this is a polynomial with 3 terms. The first thing we need to look for is you're going to look for common factors across all 3 terms. So what you're looking for is basically the greatest common factor amongst the three terms. Now we say factors because we're looking at both the coefficient and the variable. So is there common variables? Is there common coefficients that can factor into all 3 terms? So let's look at the first example of 6 minus 12a plus 18a squared. What is common amongst 6, the term negative 12a, and positive 18a squared? If we look, the common factor is 6. So I can take out a 6 from each of these. So obviously the factor for 6 is 6 and 1. That's common. For negative 12a, that'll be negative 2a. And if I take 6 out of 18a squared, that leaves me with 3a squared. And that would be the answer for factoring that trinomial. Let's look at a second example. 12 x cubed y minus 20xy squared minus 16x squared y squared. So let's see what's common across each of those. Well, actually, if I look at it, what's common between 12, 20, and 16? Well, I can take out, because they're all negative, I'm going to take out a negative. And the number that I'm going to take out is going to be 4. That is the common factor for each of those, so a 4. Now let's look at the variables. So what's common between x cubed, x, and x squared? Well, an x is the common one between those, so I'm going to take out an x. Now let's look at the y's. What's common between y, y squared, and y squared? Y is the commonality. So that leaves me with minus 4xy that I'm taking from each term. So if I take out a minus 4xy from negative 12x cubed y, I'm left with 3x squared. And if I take a negative 4xy out of minus 20xy squared, that leaves me with positive 5y. And if I look at taking out a negative 4xy from minus 16x squared y squared, that leaves me with positive 4x and y. So that means the answer to this is minus 4xy multiplied by the trinomial 3x squared plus 5y plus 4xy. The next step, to make sure you did everything correctly, is you're going to actually check and expand. What does that mean, Miss Carla? Well, actually it means we're going to go backwards, and we're going to distribute the factor we took out back into the trinomial to see if what we did was correct. So if I look at my first example of a, I came up with 6 times the trinomial of 1 minus 2a plus 3a squared. So I'm going to now distribute my 6 within the trinomial. So I have 6 times 1. I have plus 6 times minus 2a plus 6 times 3a squared. That equals 6 minus 12a plus 18a squared. And that is exactly the same as what I started with, so I know I took out the correct factor. Let's look at b. So I said that when I factored it, I got minus 4xy multiplied by the trinomial 3x squared plus 5y plus 4xy. So now I'm going to distribute my 4xy amongst my trinomial, and we'll see if I get the answer that I started with in the question above. So it's going to be minus 4xy multiplied by 3x squared plus minus 4xy multiplied by 5y. I'm running out of room here. So again, plus minus 4xy multiplied by 4xy. So what does that equal? Well, minus 4 times 3 is, of course, minus 12. X times x squared, and we know that from our exponent laws that if I have an x times x squared, I'm going to add my exponents, so that gives me x cubed, and of course then y. And let's look at the next one. We have minus 4 times 5, that's minus 20. I have x, and then of course again, y times y by my product of exponent laws. So I have y squared, and then I have minus 16, because minus 4 times 4 is minus 16. And again, I have x times x, and then I also have a y times y. So that's going to give me x squared, y squared. So I hope you see where I'm getting this. So I'm taking this here. That's be my y's, and then of course my x's, and then my y's. So I have to make sure that I'm using my exponent laws when I'm looking at my variables. Now, did I come up with the same thing I started with? Minus 12x cubed y? Yep. Minus 20xy squared? Yes. And minus 16xy squared? Yes. So I did come up with the same thing. So let's have a look at you try 14a squared plus 7a minus 7, and minus 20 c to the fourth d minus 30 c cubed d squared minus 25 c d cubed. Go ahead and try those two, pause the video, and come back and find the answer. Welcome back, and I hope for A you got 7 times the trinomial 2a squared plus a minus 1, and for B, minus 5cd times the trinomial 4c cubed plus 6c squared d plus 5d squared.